got lost in the woods, would you tape a goodbye message or would you take random pictures like this? Hit that follow button because it's about to get crazy, and this is the true crime craziest cases you're ever gonna hear. Oh, that's a mouthful. Chris Kremers and her best friend Lisanne Froon their home in the Netherlands to take a trip to Panama. They had saved for 6 months to do this, and their plan was to travel the country and also to help with kids there. Volunteering with kids, what could go wrong? Arrived March 15th, 2014. They did some brief traveling, and then they settled in with a family that they would be with for the next month, and that's when they were going to be working with the children. April 1st, around 11 a.m., they went on a hike. For this, they had went to brunch with 2 men. They took the restaurant owner's dog and set out for their hike. Their hike was of El Panista Trail. I am so white. Anyway, it surrounded this volcano, and it was described as this cloudy trail, forest-like. Later that night, the dog returned, but the girls were nowhere to be found. Communication stopped with their parents too, which was weird because they had communicated quite a bit with them. And then the next morning, they didn't meet their guide for a hike. It seemed the pair had just disappeared. April 6th, their parents came to help the search. There were dog searches, flights that were flown over, people on foot just looking for these girls. They figured they had gotten lost in the woods or had an injury, and so they were doing the best to find them. However, all the searches just came up nothing. Where would they have gone? This was a deep forest, and it was really, really looking scary for these girls. Searches continued, but they couldn't really do much, and so the case kind of fizzled out. 10 weeks later, a local woman came into the police station with a backpack. This was Lisanne's blue backpack that she was carrying that day. The backpack had $88 in cash, 2 pairs of sunglasses, water bottle, 2 pairs of bras, Lisanne's camera, and it also had the girls' phones. This backpack was weird, let me tell you. So it was supposedly spent all of that time near the water, and it wasn't that damaged. It had a little bit of damage to it, but it wasn't like you would see if it was in the water for a long period of time. This is the first of the weirdest mysteries that come out of this case, trust me. If you've never heard of this case, post below and tell me what you think happens, and then come back after you hear the case and tell me what you think. Things are about to get super weird. Women's phones turned out to be a very vital clue in this case, and it is very strange. About 6 hours into the hike, someone called the 911 number and also 112, which is kind of like the international helpline. First one of these calls was at 4:39, and the other one was at 4:51. Neither one of these calls went through because of reception. All further calls went through on Lisanne's phone after about 5 p.m. on April 4th. However, Chris's phone is a different story. It was turned on and tried to use multiple times between the 5th and the 11th, which is a long time after they went missing. All of these times, someone tried to get into the phone but didn't know the PIN to get in. Camera was working, and boy, did it have some telling pictures. Buckle up, it's gonna get crazy. So the beginning of these pictures on this camera were kind of typical. They were of the girls going on this hike. It kind of showed the wilderness. It showed them. It also shows that they're kind of by a ravine, which is a huge clue. On April 8th, there was 90 flash photos taken on the camera. This was between about 1 and 4 a.m. in complete darkness in the wilderness. Literally the most scary thing I can ever imagine. Photos were a little weird. They were of nothing, it seemed like. And then some of them were of twigs and branches, all set out in weird patterns. One picture is what we believe to be the back of Chris's head. Here's where it gets really wild. Picture 509 is just gone. It is gone. There's 508, there's 510, no 509. Not just deleted off the camera, but just gone. History of picture 509 is a whole thing in itself. It's a huge rabbit hole. I went down multiple times and I shouldn't have. I know more about this version of a camera than I should ever know in my whole entire life. There are weird technical difficulties that can happen, which could erase or delete this photo, but it's rare. What's even more rare is they believe that it was taken off the SD card, which means that it had to be plugged into something like a computer and erased that way. Now, before you get your rolls in a biscuit or whatever you want to say. Rolls in a biscuit? I don't know where that came from. Just ignore me. We're going to get back to this here in a minute, but let's finish the story here. months after that backpack was found, the girls' remains were found. It was first a pelvic bone and then a foot and a shoe. There was in all about 33 scattered bones of the girls, and they were all bleached, which I know, biscuits again, I'm feeling it. I see your stares. I see it. But apparently it's kind of like sun bleached. Like, it didn't necessarily mean that they were taken and bleached and put back. It was sun bleached. I don't know. The crazy thing that I found in this case was that about 10% of Lisanne's remains were found and only about 5% of Chris's. So that means that there's other remains just floating out there in that forest. Super crazy is the amount of decomp on each. I mean, this could all just be science and the way things happen, but it seems the decomp was a little bit weird. Like, some were really decomped, some were not as decomped. There was spreading of things. And I know what you're going to say, animal activity, but the bones didn't have any sign of trauma to them. So there was no scratches, no teeth marks, no signs of these animals with these bones. So they're scattered, bleached, and in different stages of decomp, but there's not a lot of animal activity. That makes no sense to me. Most people believe that this is all just not a mystery at all, that these girls went into the forest, they had an accident or they got lost or something, succumbed to their injuries, and that's it. And the photo was just a fluke. I did see where one of the parents said that she traced where the girls were because of the photos and the trail and all of that, and it was kind of impossible to get deep down in the forest if you're an amateur. Like, if you know where you're going, you could easily just go off trail. But to anybody who was new, they could just wrap back around. So if someone was injured or something happened, they could just wrap back around the trail. But it was really hard to be off the trail way into the forest. So that leads me to believe someone led them there, right? That could also be why the pin happened. Like, maybe it wasn't Chris and Lisanne trying to get into the phone. Maybe it was someone else. Someone also could have taken that backpack, taken the camera, put it into their computer, deleted that 509 because something was on it, and then replaced it to make it look like an accident. I know it's a stretch, but I mean, it could have been. Was picture 509 something that they didn't want to get out? The mystery of 509 runs deep, and you can go down many rabbit holes trying to figure it all out, so I will let you do that on your own. But overall, what do you think of this case? It's one of the crazier ones that I've done. I tend to believe that maybe something happened, but man, I don't know. I just go back and forth. Write in the comments below your craziest case so I can cover it. And also, follow, because I am on a journey, trust me. I will see you guys next time for another crazy case. When you're out in the wilderness, please be careful, because you could fall off the edge of the earth or something happen, or something paranormal happen. Who knows?